Intuition is the very important part in a chess tactics. Intuitively, we go for positions where we know there must be some tactics. So we sacrifice sometimes material without seeing clear outcome, because intuitively we feel that it's a very good sacrifice and there will be combination, there will be decisive continuation. Intuition does not, you cannot get by playing few games. Intuition is a matter of experience, seeing more and more, a lot of positions of a different nature, and analyzing a lot of games, and that's how you develop the intuition. Let's look at one positionally very sound sacrifice that was developed in a very tactical and very interesting game. d4, f5, knight f3, knight f6, bishop g5, knight e4. It's a Dutch defense, and it was very popular at some time. h6, h4, g6, bishop f4, d6, knight b2, d2, bishop g7. We don't really want to concentrate on the opening part of the game. Knight d7, knight takes e4, pawn takes e4, knight to d2, knight to f6, bishop c4, c6, and h5. Here black plays bishop g4. Now obviously knight takes h5 is a bad move because white wins after rook takes h5, pawn takes h5, queen takes h5, king has to come to d7 since king f8 will be met by queen f7 mate, and after king d7, queen g4, white's next move going to be queen takes g7, and they're going to win. So after h5, white's move h5 in this position. This is a pawn sacrifice because black has bishop g4 move, and after f3, e takes f, g takes f, and bishop takes h5. Now let's talk about this position. Why did white sacrifice this pawn? White has very strong center, possibility on attack on a king side if black chooses the castle king side, if black chooses the castle king side, and black, obviously white is planning on castling king side, queen side. Queen e2, queen a5, e4, knight to d7, white castles, black plays rook f8. Well, maybe it was better to castle queen side, but that also not that pleasant for black because white can play bishop e6 and white has some initiative. But as I said, we don't want to analyze it in big details. Rook f8, bishop e3, e5, d5, and c5. King b1, rook f7, and queen to g2. Now let's talk about this position. This is white sacrifice pawn here and has great compensation. Here is the compensation. Black's light square bishop on h5 is completely out of the game. Black's dark square bishop is very passive as well. Knight on d7 does not have any meaningfully good squares. So black is experiencing some problems in this position. After queen g2, the idea of queen g2 is to play white's one passive piece is the bishop on c4. And white is trying to play bishop to f1, queen g3, and bishop h3, possibly activating light square bishops on h3, c8 diagonal. Black plays alone b5, bishop f1, and the c4. White goes queen e2 back. Now they want to play bishop h3, obviously. Knight b6 and bishop to h3. Knight to a4. Now white has to be careful because black has some kind of threats like c3, bishop e6, rook b7, and before black starts creating serious threat with playing c3 or knight takes b2, white has to start activities first. Rook takes h5. Queen to b4. Black is threatening checkmate on b2 square, and white plays knight b3. This was prepared move. G takes h, and white goes queen h2. C takes b. Queen takes h5, and after king d8, queen h4, king e8, white simply played c takes b. Now this is intuitively white sacrificed the rook. White has completely winning position. White is a rook down, but black cannot castle. Both rooks are aimless. White's king is very secure. Bishop on e6 and bishop on e3 extremely active, and so is the queen on h4. Despite the extra rook, black is totally lost. Knight c5 and queen takes h7. Knight takes e6. Black cannot tolerate the actions of light square bishop here, and black plays knight takes e6 and d takes e. Well, as we saw before, black's king walked already, so they cannot castle. So after de, black played d5. White has very many decisive threats. The threat is queen g8, and on bishop f8, maybe bishop h6, or maybe even queen g6 check, followed by bishop g5 check. So black played d5, e takes d, and now black played rook d8. Well, as I mentioned before, white has not seen the consequences of this position, but intuitively they thought that this protected pass pawns and the active position of the queen is sufficient compensation for the rook. And they were 100% right. Rook d8, bishop to g5, queen to d6. Now we can tell the threats are decisive. After bishop g5, there is a threat of queen g6 or queen g8. So after queen d6, queen g6 check and king f8, white simply took on d8, queen takes d8, and d6. You see, this is the total triumph or of the strategy. So white is threatening e7 check with a quick end, and after black played bishop f6, then white played simply d7, and there is no defense to queen f7 checkmate. And if black plays queen e7, white has multiple ways to win the game, and the easiest is probably just making queen by playing d8. So position is totally lost, and it's a very good example of positional sacrifice that led to complete crush by white. I'm going to go through one game, my own game against Colombian Grandmaster Gildardo Garcia. Game was played in Los Angeles in American Open tournament. This was very short game, and I'm going to show you how sometimes it's possible to perform instant attack when it doesn't look like the attack can be successful, and out of nowhere this attack appears and decides the game. Okay, let's go. Knight f6 started with very quiet opening. Knight f3, knight f6, g3, d5, bishop g2, e6, castle, bishop e7, d3, b6, knight bd2. Nothing indicates at all that white is going to have decisive attack in a few moves. Bishop b7, e4, d takes e, and d takes e. Black castled in this position. This is a trap here. Playing knight takes e4 is bad for black. What happens after knight takes e4? White goes knight e5, and if black goes knight d6, then bishop takes b7 simply wins for white, because on knight takes b7 we may play queen f3, attacking f7 and b7 targets, and black simply loses. So taking the pawn on e4 is not good by black. So after d takes c and d takes c, black simply castled. White went e5, and after knight d5, a3. This is very interesting and very good move. The idea of a3, now you see the c4, trapping the black's knight in the center of the board. Black played b5. So now that white stopped black's knight b4, they go queen e2. Black goes c5. Obviously, it's a counter trap. We don't want to take queen takes b5 because of bishop a6, and rook on f1 is lost. What happened after c5? Knight e4, c4, and bishop g5. This is beginning of black's problems. What are their problems? There is no indication that anything can happen real quick on the king side, but white weakens black's d6 square. So they want to exchange the bishops and maybe play knight to d6, which may be quite unpleasant. So black has to make some decision. Playing f6 will weaken black's king side. So what is for black to do in this position? Black played bishop takes g5. White played knight e takes to g5. And after h6, knight to e4. Now white is ready to jump with the knight on d6. After knight d7, knight d6, queen b6, rook f to d1. Now the idea of rook f to d1 is to activate the f3 knight. Knight needs to go to d4. Closer, maybe attacking pawn on b5. There is no kingside attack yet. But in about a matter of 4 or 5 moves, kingside attack starts and ends immediately. Knight after rook f to d1, that played by white. Black played knight c5 and knight d4. Black does not see the danger here and plays knight a4, attacking b2 pawn. Then white plays knight 4 to f5. and this is serious trouble. Now, if black plays e takes f, then white plays bishop takes d5, having big advantage in the center. But this might have been the best thing to do for black. What black did instead, they just absolutely neglected. They ignored knight f5 move, and after knight takes b2, bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, rook takes d5 is winning combination. Now, this is intuitive combination. I played this position and I did not see all the way through. But I believe, here is the intuition based on experience. When you have one very strong knight very close to the king attacking, and the other knight on d6, you see, is very close to attack, obviously queen has to be decisively brought to the action. And most importantly here, why this attack should work. I believed this attack is 100% decisive, and there is no way black should have any defense, because knight on b2 is total spectator, and queen on b6 by black is completely out of action, out of defense, out of the king's area. I said there is no piece that black can get to their king's defense. And after queen g4, king is totally helpless. What happened next is g6. This is kind of instant attack. Knight takes h6, king g7, knight h2 f5 check, king g8, and now e6. This is absolute crusher. There is no defense for black at all. White is threatening e takes f, followed by queen takes g6. There is no defense. It's very simple, very easy to see. Black is completely lost. Interesting to notice, queen on b6, knight on b2, and both rooks, f8 rook and a8 rook, are absolute spectators of the total disaster of their king. Couple of brief examples on a very thematic combination. Well, we have here position where white has an extra pawn and black has very strong d3 pass pawn. So in this position, black plays b6, and you see that white plays b6, and you see if black takes on a4, white would take on a4, and black is lost because on any move, including king b5, white will go b7, and you see the b8 coming next, and on rook b2, white will go rook b4, and they are winning. So what can black do in this position after b6 move? Black plays d2. And here comes very, very thematic move. Tactical move, combination, not very difficult, and also very thematic. Bishop to b3 check. Now, the idea of this move is very simple. White wants black king to get on b file for two different reasons. Reason one, when they go b7, they're going to queen next move with the check. And at the same time, black cannot play rook b2, stopping the b pawn. It's a very thematic move. And after king takes b3, white plays b7. And when black queens and white queens, you can see that black's king is in a lot of trouble, and black loses. Black lost very quickly in a couple of more moves. This, now I'm going to show you how is pattern recognition can work. White is winning here. How can they win? They have to promote the c-pawn or they will not win. The way to promote c-pawn is to play rook c5. Now, by playing rook c5, black cannot, the white deprives black the opportunity of playing rook c2, keeps black rooks away from c-file, and if black takes this rook, doesn't matter which way, then c-file is blocked. Even if I took with a king, white goes c7, there is no way black can stop white from queening, and white is going to be winning this position. Again, tactical shot, rook c5. Now, this is the rook c5 in this position. We're just blocking the file, and here is the position we just looked few seconds ago when bishop was on a4, rook was on a5, and bishop on e8. And we played b6, and after d2, bishop b3 check. It's the same pattern, different piece, different type of move. Idea is the same. We are blocking the b file with opponent's piece. Opponent's piece has to take. If black takes this bishop, then we're going to go b7, and black's king blocks b file, and if black moves the king, then white's bishop blocks the file. Same exact result. Pattern recognition should work here. If you saw one combination, if you have experience, and if you have a sharp eye, and you have intuition and a good memory, you should quickly see the pattern recognition from one example to the other. That's what makes you a strong tactical player. And this is very, very important. Next combination we're going to look at is maybe one of the most original and, if you can say, bizarre combinations that ever been played. Combination was played, well, these are not my words, these are the words of the analysts that look at this combination. I shouldn't say that it's my game. Was played a long, long time ago in 1957. e4, c5, c3, knight f6, not the best way played the opening. e5, knight d5, d4, I'm white here, c takes d, c takes d, d6, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e2, bishop f5, castle for white, e6, bishop d2, d takes e, d takes e, knight d2, b4, knight c3, and after knight d3, white played bishop g5, and knight takes b2 for black. Now this position is very, very dangerous for black and very sharp, and it seems like white should have several different ways to win. In reality, white does not have any forced way to win this position. You see, black's queen is hanging, bishop can take on d8, but then knight can take on d1, and there is no forced combination that I can win with. On queen b3, black can go queen b6, and it's not clear what white has here for missing pawn. So what happened in my game is I played queen takes d8, knight takes d8. I got to tell you that this became like one of the most exciting combinations and original combinations ever played, and it was not planned by me. It was not prepared. It was not executed by me that way. I got there like a blind man with a cane, making one move at a time, which I thought was okay, it turned out for me just perfectly okay. I gave bishop b5 check, knight c6, knight d4, and my opponent played bishop d3. I quickly played knight takes c6, and here my opponent played bishop takes f1, and I couldn't believe my eyes that I cannot immediately win the game here. See, if I move the knight, it seems like it may be a checkmate, but black's bishop can take white's bishop on b5. So if king takes f1, black plays a6, and white does not have any decisive continuations because bishop cannot maintain on this, cannot stay on a4, e8 diagonal. And next move, when bishop moves, black simply is going to take the white's knight on e2. So in this position, all of a sudden I discovered that knight on b2 does not have an escape square. So I played bishop takes f1, b takes c. Now white is exchanged down. But if white can manage somehow to win this knight on b2, they will have two minor pieces for rook, and they will be winning. So I played bishop c1, attacking this knight on b2, and black had to play rook b8. However, they played bishop a3. Even after rook b8 and rook b1, and if black played now bishop a3, white would have played knight a4. They would have gotten this knight on b2, and game could go on with white advantage. But black played instead of rook b8, black played bishop a3. And then white's next move turned out to be decisive, knight to b1, attacking the bishop on a3. And if bishop moves, black is going to take white is going to take black's knight on b2. And if black goes knight c4, then simply knight takes a3. Now, the reason why this combination is so powerful, what makes it so original, is if we post-mortem analyze this position. You see how perfectly white is developed here. White has tremendous development in this position. Actually, knight is on c6. White's not. White is tremendously developed, and looks like white has a lot of threats. Just notice the movement of two white's bishops and white's knight on c3. So first move, what makes it original, white goes from well-developed bishop position on b5 to the original square on f1. When black plays b takes c, second very well-developed piece goes from g5 to c1, attacking knight on b2. And when black plays bishop a3, third move, another developed knight, the piece, knight on c3, goes to its original position, knight b1, and white wins. This is very, very original combination, not very difficult, but just original. Original and unique combination does not always mean it's very brilliant or very difficult combination. All it means is original, unique. That's it. Unique, as a unique also is a temporary term. It may be unique for now unless someone plays similar combinations, and then it's not, all of a sudden it's not as unique anymore. So this is very interesting position and very interesting combination.